Yeah, so let's start. So the first and the foremost important fact about the constitution is that after independence we needed a law book, a book where we can follow how to proceed, how to run a government, how to run the country. And so Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he was the chairman of the Constituent Assembly, and he was the one who helped in drafting the Indian Constitution, and thus he is referred as the father of the Indian Constitution. Now, this constitution was adopted on 26 November 1949. When I say adopted, it means that it was completed. It was drafted by 26 November 1949. At that time, they thought, okay, now the constitution is ready. Now, when should we publish it, or when should we bring it to the people? When should we bring it into effect? And at that time, they thought that on 26 January, the civil disobedience movement had started. And at that point, they had said, like the people of India had said, that we are going to consider ourselves independent and that we are not going to follow the British rule. So that day was considered as an Independence Day, 26 January 1930. And they thought that this day is a very important day in our history, and that is why they thought that we should bring our constitution on 26 January 1950. From that day onwards, 26 January is considered as a Republic Day. It is also considered as a Samvidhan Divas or Constitution Day. Now, the guiding values of the Constitution are liberty, equality, fraternity, sovereignty, socialist, secular, and democratic. Liberty, we all know, means freedom to all. Every man is born free. Second is equality. Every person is equal before law, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, ratio, anything. Fraternity means that we should consider ourselves as brothers and sisters. In our pledge as well, we say that all Indians are my brothers and sisters. So we should take care of them, we should respect them as we would respect our own family members. Then sovereignty means that India is independent. Nobody is ruling India. India has its own power to rule its constituents. Socialist means that all people come before individual. That the whole idea of this government, of this country, is to care for all, to take care of everybody. Then secular means that in India, there is no official religion. We do not prefer any religion. India is called as Bharat. Hindustan is also a name. But like Pakistan, how Islam is your official religion, or Christianity is the official religion in some Western countries, in India, we don't have an official religion. It can be Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Sikhism, anything. Every religion is equal. No religion is preferred, and everyone is considered equal, and they have rights to follow their own religion. So India is a secular country. Then democratic. Democracy is the foundation of our country, our government. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So in democracy, the leaders are chosen by the people. Leaders are answerable to the people. Okay. Now, Constitution of India is the world's longest written constitution of any sovereign country in the world. Now, Constitution of India has 448 articles, 25 parts, 12 schedules, and 101 amendments till date. Now, this fact might have changed because this is a few months old. So just check again how many amendments are there till date. Now, these things might come to you as questions, like who was the temporary chairman of the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly? So the first meeting of Constituent Assembly was held on 9 December 1946, and it was the person was Sachidananda Sinha. Now the Constituent Assembly was the assembly instrumental in drafting of the constitution. Now, in India, when we were drafting the constitution, we took a lot of elements of the constitution from various countries. So now the first country is United States of America. United States of America is where democracy took birth. So United States of America has the oldest constitution. Okay. Now these are some more facts that might come in your exam, might not come, but these are the type of facts which you should look for. One is the cabinet mission to India in 1946 was headed by Lord Pethick Lawrence and aimed to discuss the transfer of power from British government to the Indian leadership and granting it independence. So the whole power transfer happened in 1946 by the cabinet mission. Now, the Constitution of India was framed by the Constituent Assembly, which was set up in 1946. So, if you are asked when the Constituent Assembly was set up, then it was 1946. Then we'll say, so what is the Samvidhan Divas? As I've already mentioned, that it is 26 November 1949. Then now, when the Constitution came into existence, there were three pillars of the Constitution. One was the judiciary, legislative, and the executive. So Supreme Court is the judiciary pillar. So Supreme Court acts as the guardian of the Constitution by exercising writ jurisdiction, appellate jurisdiction, and power of judicial review. That means that any time, any law, any article of the Constitution has been violated, it is the duty of the Supreme Court to take appropriate action to the preservation of Constitution and upliftment of the Constitution. Now, Pingali Venakaya designed the present-day national flag. Now, this is again a new fact. We know who wrote the national anthem. We know who wrote the national song, but we don't know who designed the national flag. So it is Pingali Venkaya, and was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26 July 1947. So before the independence, the national flag was adopted. Now, for the first time in India, Indian Councils Act 1909 has legitimized elections of India to various legislative councils in India. The first ever time that elections took place was by the Indian Councils Act 1909. Then there was this Government of India Act 1935 has given representation to Indians for the first time in legislation. There was another act, Government of India 1858. That act, can anyone tell me what that act said? Anyone knows about Government of India Act 1858?
The power was transferred to the Queen from the East India Company.
Correct. Very good. So in 1857, there was a national uprising, and that is when the British government, the British monarchy, decided that the East India Company is not capable of ruling such a vast country. And that's the time when Queen Victoria paid a visit to India. You know, in Mumbai, why the Gateway of India was built? Anyone knows why Gateway of India was built?
To welcome the King of England and the Queen of England.
Yes, correct. So it was to welcome the Queen of England, Queen Victoria. So that was Government of India Act 1858. And now there is another act, Government of India Act 1935. This Government of India Act gave representation to Indians for the first time in the legislation. Now the first session of Constituent Assembly was held in the Constitution Hall. The Constitution Hall is currently called as the Central Hall of the Parliament House in New Delhi. And this first session was held on 9th December 1946. If you check this fact and the fact before, that was the temporary chairman of the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly. So the Constituent Assembly was held on 9 December. The chairman was Sachidananda Sinha, and it was held in the Central Hall of the Parliament House in New Delhi. Now in 1948, Clement Attlee, the Prime Minister of England in 1948, announced the transfer of power to India. So if suppose you are asked that who was the Prime Minister of England at the time of our independence, then it was Clement Attlee. Now, preamble is at the beginning of the constitution, and it is called as the soul or the spirit of the Indian constitution. I mean, if suppose you were in a state board, then you might have read the preamble in the beginning of all your textbooks. So whenever you get time, do go through the preamble to understand what are the guiding values, what are our strongest, what is the foundation of an Indian constitution, and that might help you in any questions that might arise around preamble. Now let's talk about some static GK questions. Static GK means certain GK questions which don't change. So for example, if it's the first president of India, today, 10 years later, there won't be any change in this answer. So these are called as static questions, static GK questions. So current affairs, you will know about who is the current prime minister, who is the current president. And in static GK, you'll know who was the first president, who was instrumental during a particular policy or during a particular law, etc. So our first president of India is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. The first prime minister is Jawaharlal Nehru. Jawaharlal Nehru was also the first foreign minister of independent India. So he held both the portfolios, that of the prime minister and that of the foreign ministry. The education minister of independent India was Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. Now the first home of independent India was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was instrumental in making the princely states agree to be a part of India, because it was a very big challenge to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, because a lot of princely states refused to give up their land, give up their power and become a part of India. But through hook and crook, he tried to convince them that it's in their best interest to give up the power and join India. Now, the first commerce and industry minister of independent India was Syama Prasad Mukherjee. The first finance minister of independent India was Shanmukham Shetty. The first health minister was Amrit Kaur, and first governor, Indian Governor General was C. Rajgopalachari. Okay, now let's talk about the President of India. Now, how is the President of India selected? It is elected by the members of the Electoral College, consisting of the elected members of both houses of parliament and the elected members of the legislative assemblies of the states and the union territories of Delhi and Pondicherry. So now members from Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, they will give nominations as to who they want as their president, and once the person achieves the certain majority, that's when the person becomes the president of India. Now the president is one of the powerful persons. He is a nominal head, but he has certain privileges which others don't have. For example, a president, while in office, cannot be charged with any criminal proceedings. But for example, there is a case where the president has done something wrong, he has corruption charges against him or criminal charges against him, then the president can be impeached. Now, the president may be removed before the expiry of the term through impeachment procedure. Now, the process can start in either of the two houses, that is Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. Okay, so this process starts by when the house levels any charges against the president, and then there is investigation if those charges are true. If people agree that okay, these charges are true, then they vote on it, and when there is absolute majority in both houses, then the president might be impeached. Now let's talk about the Vice President of India. The Vice President is elected by the Electoral College, which consists of the members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now it is mentioned in the Constitution that Vice President can be removed by a resolution in Rajya Sabha. Now here it's important to note that in India, you need absolute majority in Rajya Sabha and only a simple majority in Lok Sabha. That means that if suppose there are 250 members in the Rajya Sabha, at least 125 members must agree to the impeachment of the vice president. Now in Lok Sabha, on the contrary, there are how many? 545 members. But for example, only 400 members are present during the meeting. And out of that, at least 200 people agree. So then they can pass the simple majority. Simple majority is the 50% of the present voting members, and the absolute majority is 50% of the total membership. Now let's talk about the background of our constitution. Now, as I mentioned before, that the Government of India Act 1935 gave representation to Indians into the government. Now, this act was the major foundation of our constitution. We took most of our laws, most of our ideas from there. But apart from that, we also took certain elements from various constitutions. For example, the Constitution of USA. From there, we took the fundamental rights, judicial review, and preamble. Constitution of Britain, we took the single citizenship law and the bicameral parliamentary procedure. Now, single citizenship means that at one point, you can't have 2 or 3 citizenships of various countries. You are either a citizen of India or you are not. You can't be a citizen of USA and of India. Okay. Now, bicameral parliamentary procedure means a system where we have 2 houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Okay. Now, from Constitution of Germany, we took provisions related to suspension of fundamental rights of citizens during emergency. Now, for example, let's take this COVID-19 situation due to lockdown. Now, there is a rule that all Indians are free to travel throughout the country without any restrictions. So technically, if you from Mumbai want to go to Bangalore or you want to go to Delhi, then you should be able to go. You don't need any visa, passport or anything. But currently, because of the lockdown, you cannot travel because it's an emergency situation. So sometimes fundamental rights are suspended if there is an emergency. Similarly, you have a right to assemble. You can form a peaceful group and you can talk about things, you can do protests, you can do all those things. But because we are following social distancing during this emergency, you cannot do those things. So those things become illegal. So your rights are suspended during an emergency. Now, from Constitution of Ireland, directive principles of state policy and presidential election procedure is being taken. And from Canada, Supreme Court's advisory jurisdiction. Now, let's talk about our fundamental rights. I'm sure you all are aware. I'll go quickly through the rights. First is right to equality. Everyone is equal to law. No one should be discriminated. Now, here I would like to highlight there are 2 types of discrimination. One is the normal discrimination against a person due to his caste, creed, religion, etc. And the other is called as positive discrimination. Positive discrimination is legal in India. And when I say positive discrimination, it means that giving certain rights to certain caste or certain section of the strata of the people. For example, there is reservation for OBC category. There are, one second. Can you hear me? Hello?
No, ma'am, your voice is breaking.
You can't hear me properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
The voice
it
is breaking.
breaks every few minutes.
Okay. Now can you hear properly?
No.
No, your voice is constantly breaking.
No.
Okay, okay, just one second. I'll check my internet connection. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay. Did you all miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
Previous slides? Did you all miss anything?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So should I start with the fundamental rights?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I described what is right of equality, there are two types of discrimination. First of all, the negative discrimination is not allowed. You cannot discriminate anyone on the basis of their caste, creed, sex, religion, color, etc. But positive discrimination is allowed. That is, for example, there are OBC categories, other backward classes. They are being given reservations in colleges, in schools. Then there are seats are reserved for women. So basically, based on gender, there is a positive discrimination against, it's not against women, but it is for women, that you're trying to uplift that particular section of the people. Similarly, for OBCs, there is reservation. So you are trying to uplift that particular section of the people. So positive discrimination is allowed, but any form of discrimination against the person is not allowed. Then there is right to freedom. Every person is born free. They are free to choose what they do with their lives. And there is one more important thing, that every person is free to choose who they want to marry. So as there are many contracts, you can sign a contract that you will be working for a company for 1 year, 2 year, that contract is valid. But if you sign a contract agreeing to marry a particular person, and then if you refuse, that's okay, because nobody can force you whom to marry. Then there is right against exploitation. So this can include human trafficking, child labor, any form of exploitation, payment below wages, inhuman conditions, extra working hours, anything which is not against the normal norm is exploitation, and we have a right against exploitation. Then it is right to religion. Every person is free to follow any religion they want. They won't be restricted on following the religion, visiting the religious places, saying the prayers, dressing accordingly. Then we have cultural and educational rights. Education is a fundamental right. Similarly, culture. So culture has more to do than religion. Culture might depend on which particular geographical area, which particular type of people you belong to. You might have certain customs, religions, traditions, all those things, a mixture of those things. So for example, we celebrate certain festivals in certain places, in certain parts of India. Certain things like marriages are done differently in different parts of India. So those are our cultures, and we have a right to follow our own culture, to dress accordingly, to follow those particular customs and traditions. And last is the right to move to court. If any of the above rights are violated, then the person has a right to move the court against restitution and compensation. Now, the structure of the union government. Now, there are three pillars. First is the executive, second is the legislative, and third is the judiciary. Now, the legislature is nothing but a parliament, that is Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, and a president. Now, here the laws of the nation are created. So now any law which has to be passed and become a part of a constitution, is introduced in either of the two houses, and once we get the approval of the both the houses and the president, that's when the bill becomes a law. Now the executive committee is our prime minister, his cabinet of ministers, and all people working for them. Now the executive committee, the role is to implement the laws in the best possible way. And now we have the judiciary. Judiciary is headed by the Supreme Court of India. Now Supreme Court's major role is to protect the constitution and uplift its values. So anytime any laws are being violated, any law is not being implemented properly by the executive committee, it's the role of the judiciary to take appropriate action. That is why a lot of executives, the executive committee, the prime minister, the cabinet ministers have to take into consideration the idea, the values, the views of the judiciary, whether what action they are taking is correct or not. Now let's talk about the union legislature. There are two houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Now the members of Rajya Sabha are elected by members of the Legislative Assembly of respected states. Now we have many states in the country, and some states are big, some states are small. So the representation, that how many members from each state should be a part of Rajya Sabha, differs. For example, Uttar Pradesh is the largest state. So there will be more members from Uttar Pradesh to Rajya Sabha compared to Assam. Okay. Now the Vice President of India is called the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Now the maximum strength of Rajya Sabha is limited by the constitution under Article 79 to a maximum of 250 members. Out of those 250 members, 238 members come from the Legislative Assembly of the states, and 12 members are nominated by the president for their exceptional contribution to fields like art, science, humanity, business, commerce, etc. Lok Sabha is the lower house of the India's bicameral parliament under Article 79. Now the maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 545. 543 are elected. Now remember, Lok Sabha members are elected directly by the people. So for example, you belong to a particular city, a particular ward in a city. So the person who you vote in the general elections, that person represents your ward in the Lok Sabha. But Rajya Sabha members are indirectly elected. They are not elected directly by the people. They are selected, not elected, selected by the state government to represent the state in the Rajya Sabha. Now out of the 545 members of Lok Sabha, 543 are elected and 2 are nominated by the president, and they are from the Anglo-Indian community. Anglo-Indian community are the people who are biracial, that is, they have ancestors who are British as well as Indian. Now there are some other facts. The Supreme Court of India is the highest judicial forum and the final court of appeal under the Constitution of India. The highest constitutional court with the power of constitutional review mentioned. The strength of the Supreme Court of India is 31. That is, there is 1 Chief Justice and 30 judges. The first Rajya Sabha MP to become the Prime Minister of the country was Indira Gandhi. Now the Advocate General appointed by the Governor of the state is the highest law officer of the state. The Chairman of the Union Public Service Commission is appointed by the President of India. And the National Capital Territory of Delhi is constituted by the 69th Amendment of the Constitution of India. So if you are asked that which amendment of the Constitution declares Delhi as the national capital, there it is the 69th Amendment. Now, there are some other facts that you might want to consider. Apart from the Constitution, what else can come into your exam? So one is various abbreviations. For example, 3G stands for third generation. AIFF stands for All India Football Federation. BSC stands for Bombay Stock Exchange. BPO stands for Business Process Outsourcing. Any questions? Tanisha Anand?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay, you raised your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So similarly, C2C means consumer to consumer, CA means chartered accountant, CBI means Central Bureau of Investigation. So these are some GK abbreviations that you can go through for your own benefit, because 1 or 2 questions come about abbreviations. Similarly, we have ASEAN, Association of Southeast Asian Nations. We have WTO, World Trade Organization. We have CID, Criminal Investigation Department, etc. Now let's talk about some more static GK questions. That is India's first. If you want, you can take a snapshot of the PPT so that in future, if you want to reference, you can refer. That the first Governor General of independent India was Lord Louis Mountbatten. Then the Indian Governor General of independent India was Chakravarti Rajgopalachari. Indian Commander of Chief of Free India was General Kodanindra Madappa Karippa. Then the first president was Rajendra Prasad. Everyone knows that, but nobody knows who was the first vice president. It is Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishna. Then if we can talk who was the first home minister, that's Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Finance minister Shanmughan Shetty. The first space traveler of India was senior leader Rakesh Sharma. The first woman IPS was Anna Ranjan George. The first governor of RBI was Sir Osborne Smith. You must remember that RBI came into existence before the independence of India, and that is why we have a British person who is the first governor of RBI. Then the first woman to swim across the Indian Channel, India's first woman, was Aarti Saha, 1959. Then the first woman chief minister was Sucheta Kriplani. The first foreigner awardee of Bharat Ratna was Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. Then the first Indian woman to receive a Nobel Prize was Mother Teresa. The first woman air pilot was Durba Banerjee. The first person who delivered lecture in Hindi in UNO was Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 1977, and so on. Did you all take a picture of this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the states and capitals. Now, how many states are there?
29.
28.
28 states.
29.
Kashmir is no longer a state. There are 28 states.
Yes.
Okay. Now I have taken states, the capital, and the official languages. I want to give a clarification. I think my data is old. In Supreme Court, currently there are 34 judges, not 31 judges. So I got a clarification. So there are 34 judges. Okay. Now let's talk about our various states. So again, you can take a snapshot or you can search it on the internet. You will get this data. So you should know what is the each name of each state of India, the number of states, the capitals of each state, the official languages of each state, and when they were established. Now, when they were established, don't worry about all the states, but worry about those states like Telangana. When was Telangana established? Which year? Anybody knows when was Telangana established?
2016 or 2017.
Actually, Telangana was established in 2nd June 2014. And when was Jammu and Kashmir turned into a union territory?
2019.
Yeah. Jammu and Kashmir became a union territory on 31st October 2019, and Ladakh became a union territory also on 31st October 2019. What is the capital of Ladakh?
Leh.
Leh. And Jammu and Kashmir, the summer capital is Srinagar and winter capital is Jammu. Now you also have to know about certain things like where the literacy rate is the highest in India, where it's the lowest, where the sex ratio is the highest, where is the lowest, etc. Now other important materials that you can read. So you can read the list of presidents and prime ministers of the world. You can read about the list of presidents of India. Then for current affairs, this is very important. Know the list of Modi 2.0 cabinet ministers. Then you can also go through about the various schemes introduced by Narendra Modi. Then another GK question which is very common is the list of Bharat Ratna winners, Padma Shri winners, Arjuna Award winners, etc. Then another question is about list of Olympics held over the world. So anybody knows when the last Olympics was held and where the next Olympics is going to be held?
It
Last
was
was
in
in
Rio
Rio and the next will be in Tokyo.
Correct. So these are the questions that might come. Okay. Now here, these are few questions that I've taken from a GK book. Let's see if you know about these questions. Who has the power to form a new state within the Union of India? That is the president. So again, president is a nominal head. So he does not decide everything, but only if he signs that bill becomes law. So that is why president has the power to form a new state within the Union of India. Then by which act did the crown take the government of India into its own hands? As I said before, Government of India Act 1858. Then if we go to the 9th question, by whom is recognition to a political party accorded? By the Election Commission. So whenever a person is a part of the political party, you need to inform the Election Commission. Which amendment provided for an authoritative version of the Constitution in Hindi? That is the 58th amendment. That Constitution became available in Hindi as well. Under whose signature all the members of All India Services are appointed? It's again the President. Now, can you all hear me properly?
No, ma'am, your
No,
voice
ma'am.
is breaking too much.
No, it's breaking a lot.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No,
Uh,
Which is the human right as well as the fundamental right under the Constitution of India? That is right to education. Anyone knows what article is right to education? Can you all hear me?
No, like froze for a minute.
Mine got stuck in between.
no, bro.
Which is a human right as well as fundamental right under the Constitution of India, that is right to education. Who was instrumental in bringing the extremists and moderates together at Lucknow? That was Annie Besant. So basically you can go through various books which are available. You will find a lot of books on pdfdrive.com. There, if you go and if you search by year, that's books which are published after 2015 in English about general knowledge in India. You will find the books with all these type of quiz, and you can just go through that to brush up your knowledge. Now let me take you through a particular test. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now on this website, you can find cracku.in. You can find free GK tests. And here you can attempt various GK tests and you have the answers as well. Which of the following bank acquires the Bank of, oh no, not this one. No, 1 second, sorry. One second. Yeah. Article 28A, 21A is the correct answer for right to education. So this is a test for politics and governance test. So for example, the first question is, following are the 5 major events in the freedom struggle of India. Quit India movement, Simon Commission arrival in India, Purna Swaraj Declaration, Government of India Act, and Civil Disobedience Movement. Select the option that correctly arranges these events in the chronological order.
I
See the
can't
screen?
see the
Yeah.
question on screen.
Can you see it now?
The Zoom page is open, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see the solution. Quit India movement was in 1942. So again, this is something that you need to remember, the various movements that happened in India. Government of India Act is 1935. Civil disobedience is 1930. Purna Swaraj Declaration was 1929. Simon Commission was 1928. So the option would be 2, 3, 5, 4, 1. Let's try the next question. Expand JAM Trinity, the initiative by the Government of India to plug the leakages of government subsidies. Can anyone answer what is the correct option? Is it Jan Dhan Aadhaar Money, Jan Dhan Account Mobile, Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile, Jan Hit Aadhaar Mobile?
It's option A.
Answer is option C. So I think Yash Karmakar, no sorry, Lisa Rodriguez gave the right answer. The answer is Jan Dhan Aadhaar Mobile. Then the next question is, let the common citizen of India, the common citizen of the country fly is the motto of which scheme? This is an easy one. Anyone knows what's the answer? You can just read the options and you will understand.
Ma'am, it's B.
D.
D is the correct answer. उड़े देश का आम नागरिक is the correct answer. Then the next question is, which of the following is related to the flagship scheme of the Government of India, Udan? You all cannot hear me? Answer is civil aviation. It's clear in the Udan scheme, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, it's about civil aviation. Udan scheme is a key component of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi's National Civil Aviation Policy, which was released by the Ministry of Civil Aviation on June 15, 2016. Now, Golda Meir was the Prime Minister of, I think you might not know this, Israel. Golda Meir was the Prime Minister of Israel. So basically, you can go through these various tests available on various websites and you can brush up your knowledge. Now let's get back to
Ma'am, your voice is too much breaking.
Can you all see the screen and hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Any questions from your side? Any questions about the content? Any questions about how to prepare for GK? Any other questions? Any questions from anyone?
No, no.
Sure?
Ma'am, how to remember these many points?
So
Because it is too much.
yeah. So what you need to do is don't try to remember everything. Just read through everything 2 times. That and you
Ma'am, your voice is not
while
clear.
listening to music
Then-
also it's fine. You can read through just 2 times and then basically you are going to get multiple choice questions. So if you know a particular answer, then it will be very easy to recollect if you see the answer. So you don't have to by heart everything, just go through everything so that you have a brief idea. And see, in GK you can never be fully prepared. So the more you read newspapers, the more you go through stuff, it will be in your subconscious mind, and when you see the question you will be able to recollect it. I have a question from Rupali Bhosle. How much time should we give to GK section? So by this question, you mean how much time for the GK section in exam or GK section while studying?
In exam, ma'am.
In the exam, you don't have to worry. Just read the question. If you know the answer, tick the answer. If you don't know the answer, leave the answer. So don't spend much time on GK because you just know the answer or you don't know the answer. So GK won't take that much time. So just read through it. If you know the answer, it's fine. If you don't know the answer, leave it. Go to other questions, complete everything. Then if you have time, then you can sit and think about it. But don't give too much time to GK. Fine? Current affairs is important. For current affairs, what you're going to do is, first of all, you are going to read about uh, current affairs. So you can go and type current affairs on the internet and see what articles come up. The first thing you're going to do is learn about all the presidents and prime ministers of the world. Then you're going to know about all the big events that happened. It's a bomb blast or it's COVID-19, for example, certain things like that. Then you need to know. So, for example, in COVID-19, how many people died in which country, where did it start, etc. So learn about those things. Then the third thing that you can do is read about the national schemes that are going on by the government. Then learn about the any important awards that went to Indians, for example, any Nobel Peace Prize or Nobel Prize to any Indian. Then any people who have achieved anything substantial currently, especially in India, any Bharat Ratna winners, etc. Just go through basic topics, go through the newspaper, see about which topics it is. For example, the acquisition of companies, those things are important. So it's a very vague word, current affairs. So I can't really tell you exactly what will come, but go through all these GK tests which are there for various classes, have GK test on their online portals. So just go through those tests so you'll get a brief idea, because these tests are also compiled by taking questions from other tests. So sometimes it might happen that you went through a particular test and there will be many questions picked up from that test. So just go through the internet, whatever tests are available, just go through and see what topics are there, what elements are there. Go through past papers and see what topics, what subjects were taken into consideration in current affairs. Okay. Okay, so we'll wind up now. I'll try and try and speak to Jyoti ma'am and give you certain pointers, or I'll try and share the presentation if possible. Otherwise, if not, then if you want to take any snapshot of any particular slide, then let me know. Okay, then we'll wind up. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.